So now I'm going to start off by saying Eric Benet is right. He's right. Rappers are being used by white supremacists. They're pawns. Okay? It's always been like that. Black people, if you're classified as black or African American, ever since the inception of the transatlantic slave trade over 500 years, black people have been used for the ideology, for the experimentation, social engineering, mistreatment, subjugation, disenfranchisement, etc., from the dominant white society to totally control black people. So we have always been used as pawns. Now, like I said, Eric Benet is right, but he is not. And based off this post, he's right. But that's only part of the problem. He's talking about the what. What is happening? Rappers, black rappers are being used. He's not talking about the why. Why are they being used? Why are we being used? Why are we being mistreated? Why are we being subjugated? Why does the dominant white society continue to push out and market negative content or content that's not uplifting to black society? Why is that happening? He didn't attack that. And I'm going to address that in this video. You know? So with this post, like I said, Eric Benet is right. But again, he's only talking about part of the problem. You have to go back to the core of the issue. When the dominant white society came to Africa, and they also came to the U.S. as well. We were already here in the U.S. All right, we are the indigenous people of this country. We're the Aboriginals. But ever since the dominant white society came and just basically took our entire ancestry and imported us to a new country, right? That was the start of us being completely ripped out of our original ancestral root, which is Africa. They saw something in us which they can continue to make money off of us and profit. And that's what they're continuing to do today. So when you see something from a group of people based off color, and you can utilize them for your ideology, for manual labor, for whatever the case may be, right? When you're utilizing that fashion, that is the core system that allows the dominant white society to continue to mistreat us. Right? So the main reason, as I said before, the main reason why, when it comes to over 500 years of atrocities from our ancestors that are still affecting us to this day when it comes to epigenetics, right? When you come from an environment as an artist, as a rap artist, and I'm going to keep it in today's time, fast forwarding into today's time. You know, hip hop is the #1 most profited culture, the most mimic culture. You know, it's the #1 music genre on the planet, hands down. And we don't own or control any of the infrastructure. Again, the dominant white society controls all 9 areas of activity: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and more. They control it all, but guess what? We make the best music. We have the most influence. We generate the most money. And we only get a small percentage of the money that's generated based off a culture that we created, but we don't own it. But again, when you come from an environment that was created, constructed, and designed specifically to destroy and to control, right, black people, it's called eugenics, population control. When you come from an environment that was designed and controlled and owned by the dominant white society to continue to mistreat and disenfranchise and subjugate us, etc., that is all you see. So when you're a rapper and you talk about the things that are listed by Eric Benet, killing of black people, degrading black women, abusing drugs, that's the environment that they come from. And why did they come from that environment? Because that is an environment they did not own or create. When you come from impoverished conditions, right? Areas with lack of resources, lack of jobs, lack of education, complete opposite of an affluent community. Complete opposite of a community that has abundance of resources, abundance of education, just an abundance of choices to make sure you have a better life. And you lack those resources. So therefore, violence, drugs, and all the negative things that you could think of are just at a very, very short distance away when you're growing up in that kind of environment. You're right there. You see it every day. So that's what they talk about. And that's all they know. Versus, you know, someone who grew up in a more affluent community that has abundance of resources, right? Lots of different avenues to choose from when it comes to education. When it comes to just life in general, you have abundance of choices to choose from, right? You have more options. And therefore, you have more of a positive outlook on things. And if you are an artist in that kind of environment, that's what you're going to talk about. You're going to talk about the things that you see. And it was complete polar opposite than growing up in a low income, impoverished, economically deprived area. Complete opposite. And that's what's pushed because the dominant white society, they know that that's what sells. That's what sells. They go by whatever sells. Right? Now, for the most part, you know, the very popular artists like the Drakes of the world, the Kendrick Lamars of the world, they don't really fall in this category when it comes to what's listed by Eric Benet. They're pop artists. Kendrick Lamar is an in-betweener. He's pop, but he's also, you know, he has some a lot of great actually conscious material, right? As well as people, you know, artists like J. Cole, you know, things of that nature. More social, political, conscious artists. But for the most part, the majority of the artists outside of Drake and Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole, the majority of the artists fall in this category, which is being pushed by white executives who hate rap music. And I keep going back to this Billboard survey that happened a few years ago, right? All of the artists they want to prop up, all of these pop artists are white. Adele, Taylor Swift, Lady Gaga. And the music genres that they despise the most is rap. So they don't care about the hip hop culture, the rap culture. They're not going to push progressive rap artists who have more of a positive outlook and a positive message in their music. They're going to go by whatever sells, and what sells is what's listed right here from what Eric Benet posted on his IG page. Right? So, like I said, everything is owned and controlled by the dominant white society. They were the ones that coined the phrase. I remind you guys, this guy, Jerry Wexler, he coined the phrase rhythm and blues. Before that, it was called race records back in the early 1940s, right? And the chart system by Billboard is owned and controlled by white executives. Why do you think R&B and hip hop are charted together, even though they're two different genres of music. That's like charting rock and country music together. Rock has their own charting system. Country has their own charting system, right? But the dominant white society, these white executives, they control the mechanism and the system of these charting systems. So therefore, R&B and hip hop, according to white executives, is the same exact thing when they're not. We know this. But when you listen to today's R&B, so-called R&B, it sounds like, rappers harmonizing. They're not really singing. They're just harmonizing. So it does sound the same, but in essence, it's not the same. R&B is completely different than hip hop. They should be charted separately, but they're not. My point is that they control this system. They control this system. So they can control what's charted. They control what's music is put out, what's distributed, what's played on terrestrial radio stations and streaming systems such as Tidal and Apple Music and Spotify. They control all of that. And so what they see that's actually selling and what's streaming, again, going back to Eric Benet's post, is this right here. That's the majority of artists of black rappers today. The majority of them. You go into World Star Hip Hop YouTube page, you see how many subs they have, and you see the artists they have on their page. Yeah. That's my point. That's my point. They can easily go back and try to, they can easily try to push more pro-black social political content like they did back in the early 90s, late 80s. Like the X-Clans, the Public Enemies of the world. Poor Righteous Teachers. You feel me? The Coup. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of artists like that that are out today that are indie, but will never get that marketing push from white executives. Never. Because that doesn't sell. And they don't want it to sell. They don't want it to sell. All right? So like I said before, family, Eric Benet is right with this post, but he only targeted part of the system, part of the problem as to why this is happening. Why are black rappers being used by white supremacy? He only focused on the what. So this is partially right, but he needed to go deeper with another post. But I give the brother some credit for posting this. I do give the brother some credit for posting this. But you gotta talk about the architecture, the people who actually controlled and created and designed these mechanisms for these things to happen. Right? Where these rappers come from and these environments they're raised in that were owned and controlled and designed by the dominant white society. So therefore, they talk about is what they know and what they see. And what they see are things that, again, are environments they did not create themselves. Coming from impoverished conditions, economically deprived areas, lack of jobs, lack of education, lack of resources. That's where they come from, and that's what's being pushed. And that's what the dominant white society, for the most part, continue to market. These white executives, they know that. Point blank and simple. All right, family. So those are my quick thoughts about this post by Eric Benet. Leave your comments down below. Let me know if you guys agree with his post. Do you think he needs to expand upon this post? Or do you think he's right with this post regarding black rappers are being used by white supremacy? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section, family. Make sure you follow me on social media, on Twitter and Instagram, GMOGMediaTV. All right, family, until next time, Chauncey, a.k.a. The Black Separatist, signing out.